it's a big conflict. I mean, you feel like you've done something important, and then they tell you, no, you can't do this. No, you people don't do this, you know. But so to have this community that is sort of a bridge to the next poem.
Oh, that's
you know,
really
instead of having this space that is kind of hell, you know, and then you go to the next poem. You've got this fertile soil of and mirrors. When you sit in a circle, the mirror back is mirroring back. You're a poet. I'm a poet. You're a poet. And when I was at NYU, the mirrors was broken.
Exactly, couldn't see it.
It's broken. I didn't see myself in that mirror.
Exactly.
And so it's a powerful reinforcement. Being a poet, I mean, Basho said being a poet is writing one poem, and I believe that's true. But again, when you have this dialogue and this place of acceptance, you're going to produce a different quality, a different richness. The language and articulation gets more and more refined and nuanced, and you have more choices. It's a whole different.
I
This is a
even
whole
think
different
about what
generation.
topics you permit yourself to put into your poem. I think.
Well, one of the things that I thought was fascinating is that I write a lot about self-loathing, and I write a lot about being repulsed by my own blackness as a light-skinned black woman. Now, why would somebody like me be the founder of an organization like Kavikana? It makes perfect sense because, like you said, it's for everybody. It's where everything is welcome, every topic, we're not.
Yeah, but also your
out.
bravery is inspirational. So.
Well, I think we are an organization that really does believe that it's okay to be us, that you don't have to. I mean, in my middle class childhood, it was so much about projecting an image, about looking a certain way, and that was so destructive, you know. But that was the generational evolution, you know. My great grandmother was born 2 years after slavery. I mean, these people were in dire powerlessness, and they had to do what they had to do, which was, skin color was very important, you know, in terms of your vulnerability. But I think this is a time when all of that can be part of what makes great art. It's truth. It tells what it's like to be a human being, what it's like to evolve in a situation where you're othered all the time. It's all there in the literature, you know. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that's the best thing in the literature. It breaks the all barrier. Doesn't matter race, gender, color.
Carl Phillips said in a recent on a recent panel called State of the Art African American Poetry Today, he said, I think my poem is successful when it speaks to human beings. And I really like that he said that.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap up the interview with one of your poems.
Oh, of course. Maybe the one that you translated.
Oh, okay. I thought that is a different poem.
Well, Saks Fifth Avenue, will people know what Saks Fifth Avenue is? They will know that. Well, at this time in the 1940s, black people just didn't go to Saks Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, I wouldn't know unless you tell me the story.
Yeah.
I came to this country in 1981, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the 40s, black people couldn't even be saleswomen in Saks or
Not even New York City,
run
huh? Not
run
even
the
New York
elevator.
City.
Right. That was to come later. So my grandmother was light skinned, and she would. My grandfather owned a funeral home, so we had a Cadillac, and my grandfather was dark skinned, and so he would sit in the front of the car as if he was our chauffeur and drive us.
And how old were you
Now,
at that time?
I was,
6,
3, 4,
3,
5, observing this. And nobody ever said that we were trying to pass. I mean, that was never discussed, or that my grandfather was dark and he was driving and we were sitting in the back. Nobody ever said anything, but I'm picking up the vibes, And if you ask a group of people when they found out what race they were, and there are white people and black people in the room, typically white people don't know what they are until much later than black people. Black people know they're black when they're 2, 3, 4 years old, and white people don't understand that until, later on when they go to school or something like that. So already by the time I was 3 or 4, I had some sense about race and class. And I had some idea about fear and shame. And I think this experience sort of nailed a lot down for me.
Mm-hmm.
The weakness. That time, my grandmother dragged me through the perfume aisles at Saks. She held me up by my arm, hissing, "Stand up," through clenched teeth, her eyes bright as a dog's cornered in the light. She said it over and over, as if she were Jesus and I were dead. She had been solid as a tree, a fur around her neck, a light-skinned matron whose car was parked, who walked on swirling marble and passed through brass openings in 1945. There was not even a black elevator operator at Saks. The saleswoman had brought velvet leggings to lace me in and cooed as if in the service of all grandmothers. My grandmother had smiled, but not hungrily, not like my mother, who hated them but wanted to please. And they had smiled back as if they were wearing wooden collars. When my legs gave out, my grandmother dragged me up and held me like God holds saints by the roots of their hair. I begged her to believe I couldn't help it. Stumbling, her face white with sweat, she pushed me through the crowd, rushing away from those eyes that saw through her clothes, under her skin, all the way down to the transparent jeans, confessing.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for translating.